So let me start the session for today. So we are right now in the data model chapter, and first, uh, let's have a recollect what we have discussed in our last session, and then we will move on to the new topic today. Okay. So basically, in the last session, we talked about uh, add custom attribute in the data model. We talked about add custom entity types in the data model and Genil model. So these three things we talked about. I would like to repeat those things in a very brief manner because this is a very important but a basic understanding. Because if you don't understand data model properly, then you will have a problem down the line when we will deal with process model or UI or rest of the items. So that's what I want to go little slow here. I want to again brief what we discussed last week, and then I will move on to the next topic. Okay. So first thing is add the custom attribute in the data model. So what we did, so basically we have uh, we have basically extended our data model, uh, mm, and the data model basically we extended with. So if I quickly show, by the way, one request to everybody, because we are having this IDS server, and this server is not only one particular person, but so many people are using at the same time, right? So my humble request to everybody, like whenever you are doing some modification or some creation, whatever you are doing, try to complete that, save it, and activate it. Okay. And if you see that the activation is not happening, or rather you are facing some problem, okay, so don't keep in that way the entire thing. Try to revert back, try to make it as it was earlier. Take the screenshot, share those screenshots with coordinator. Just say, hey, this is the problem which we are facing, and then I will definitely look into that. Because what happens, like for an example, someone used the data model, someone updated something, they basically updated one custom entity type, okay, and he did not complete the configuration. He just kept it as it is. So what happened, you can see now the data model is in inactive mode. It is not activated. Okay. Now when I came and tried to activate this, I got an error that the backend mapping got affected. Obviously, because uh, you tried something that didn't work for you, and you didn't follow the proper configuration, and you just left it as it is. Okay. So what happened, that it not only impact the data model, also impact the backend staging table. Then when I saw this, I just saw a few minutes back, or rather 1 hour back. Then because I have something in my mind to create it, because I have to discuss those things. So I was running short of time. I cannot see all those things. Uh, However, I spent some time on this. Then I saw that uh, I need to probably dig into the mapping level and everything. Then I said, okay, fine. Then I'm not seeing at this moment. We'll see later. So this is the problem. So now let's say if someone wants to work on data model, he or she has to wait, right? So that's the thing. If you are getting some error, take a screenshot, write it down properly to the coordinator that, hey, this is the thing which I'm trying, and this is the error which I received. And you just revert back those changes, keep it as it was earlier, activate it, save it, and activate it. So make sure the other person can come and use it. Okay. So I think that is a good approach. And in the meantime, definitely I will look into it. And if necessary, I will prepare what you are trying to prepare on behalf of you. Okay. So like for an example, someone just communicate with us that he was trying to create the Z9 data model, which is related to the airline processing. Okay, same as like we did, like we had a carrier ID, we have currency, everything. Now the original question was that when that person went to the staging table, USMD data model Z9, and initially he was only getting this check table. He was not getting the text table. So then he just dropped a message with a screenshot that look, this is what I'm facing the issue. So can you please look into this? So then immediately when today I log in, I just check, and the issue was that he successfully created, go back, he successfully created this entity type carrier ID with all the data element and the other details, but he forgot to maintain the length, because with the moment you mention the length, then only the text table gets generated. Otherwise, the check table, because here you just maintain the entity type and its data element. So that means this is the field, and and this is nothing but its data element. So whatever the data will come up, that will be the field value, which will be reside under the check table, right? But if you need the description for this, then you have to maintain the respective text. So I just maintain this text length, whatever the number you want, you can take it, and then I just activate it, and that brought, you know, this text table at the staging table. Okay, so this is one thing. Now next is uh, yeah, another issue which was saying that uh, probably in S4 instance. Okay, in S4 instance, let me go to S4 instance. So in S4 instance, when I go to data model, so the original issue was that user was trying to create this Z5 data model, and he just maintained more or less same data, which is also airline processing information, having carrier ID, currency, everything. And he just given the prefix or namespace for this particular uh, data model, which is as a something called CMD or something. Okay, which is uh, you have to remember this is a custom data model. So you have your namespace or the prefix, because this is something when you give the respective structure create the prefix structures. Okay, so then you have to always give the custom name rather than the standard. So what I did, exactly. However, like he was unable to activate this, so I just remove this namespace and then I activate the same. Okay, but at the same time, I create in S4 instance another data model with same entity type, same attribute, no difference at all. Okay, and just wanted to show him that how you can define the custom prefix and then you can save it and activate it, and that will also activate successfully. Okay, so these are all problems which you can come across when you have a certain you know practice. And yes, of course, you can discuss with me. You can share the details, you can mail coordinator, and then definitely I will respond accordingly. So whatever the three issues which came in front of me, all three issues I answers. Okay. So now coming back to the first point. So the first point was add the custom attribute in the data model. So what we did in the last session, we basically went to the data model and we went to the entity type which is called material, which is a leading entity type, of course. And there we have added this ytest01. Okay, so this attribute we have added, and then the moment we add this attribute, the immediate question was whether it will be a flex mode or reuse mode. So reuse mode and flex mode, what is the difference? Reuse mode means if my data is going to the database table, and flex mode is if my data is not going to the database table, then how I will manage the configuration. So in reuse mode, these are all list of configuration, like add the custom field in the data model, then adjust the staging area. Okay, so just add this, activate the data model. For staging area, how, like, go to SE38 USMD underscore adjust staging, which is the update master data changes after the activation, execute, and the respective data model, whatever the data model, and activate. Okay, so this is first step. Second step is add the custom field with the Mara table. So we just appended this with the Mara table. So if I quickly go the Mara table, and here this is the one, ytest01. Okay, then include the custom field in the T130F table. So T130F table is nothing but this is a kind of a additional table which is necessary to maintain. Basically, we will be maintaining respect to this table view. Okay, and the reason is because we want to see the data in the respective database table. So if we don't maintain the records here, so that respective field value won't be visible in the ECC table. So that's what we did. We basically go to the table view, and here we went for, let's see whether I can search. No. Mm, so here let me go to Mara. So here we go. This is the one. And I have given the selection group and then went there. So this is the entry. And then we have the respect to the material type, material type. We can maintain the different functionality like if we want to hide the field, if we want to display the field, if it is a required entry or if it is an optional entry. By default, it will be an optional. Okay. So once this is done, then we generate the data model specific structure. So then we come back to MDG IMG, and then in the data model we have generate data model specific structure. So what we have here, so basically material, structure, and because I have added my custom field in the material entity type, so the entity type details which I will give, that is material, and then select this. So these are all different purpose, okay, which we are already discussed, but briefly, like this is for reuse mode, this is for search application, this is for data validations, derivations, this is for UI field properties, this is for key mapping, value mapping, etc. And it has the respective structures. So as my custom field I have added under this entity type, so I select everything and I will generate. So what is going to happen the moment I will generate respect to this structure, my custom field will be appended. So once this is done, then there are some additional structures which needs to be extended. The purpose is like because we are using field property, because we are using SMT mapping. So for them, particularly the visibility of the field, for the visibility of the field, we need this structure to be appended. So in the table name, like if you are adding the data with MARA table or MARC table or MARM table or MARD table, so accordingly the table name you can provide. And then we have SMT mapping. So in SMT mapping, we have basically the SMT mapping from staging to PP and the PP to the active area, and then activate the data model. So this is the reuse mode steps or configurations. Similarly, in flex mode, just add the field in the data model and adjust the staging area, then generate the data model specific structure and structure extension only for UI field properties. Okay, or rather UI field properties. So here you don't need to do all those things like adding in the Mara table or extending some structures like this. So it is not necessary because my data will be within the MDG framework itself. So this is the flex mode. So this is how we deal with add custom attribute in data model. So this is almost the same story whether it is material, business partner, even finance. Today I will also touch upon the finance part. Here you will see the same story I will repeat. Okay. Second thing is add the custom entity type in the data model. Now today when I came here and I found that last week the custom entity type which I have created respect to this data model, uh, it has been gone. So probably someone who has worked, so he deleted. Okay. So so probably not any one of you. I came to know that this is something which from the previous batch someone was trying. Okay. So but do not delete anything because uh, we spend a lot of time to create something. Okay, so anyway, so that's not a problem. So I can create it. So okay, let's do that. We may not able to. Okay, someone is. Okay, so last week what we did, we will quickly do that. So basically, no, I forgot the requirement. Routing type, business unit, ownership. So routing type will be type 3, business unit will be type 4. Okay, let's do that. Uh, Routing type, say character 10. Okay, so here routing type. So this is our TR, and then another entity type, which is business unit, and this is type 4. Okay, the business unit will be, it will be only entity type because the ownership will be below this. So it's okay. Business unit. Now save it. Now go to attribute. Now here ownership. Okay. Okay. So now it is asking for the relationship. So because I have now one type 4 and another one is type 3, so there will be a two relationship which I need to build. So go to the relationship part. So first is material and business unit. So this is the leading entity type. So here cardinality, of course, 1 is to n cardinality, and data element not needed. This is material, relationship, material and business unit. And another one is routing type and the business unit. Z routing, and this is qualifying because the requirement was based on the routing type, the business unit value will keep change. Okay. So here the cardinality is 1 is to n, and here this is routing type and business unit. Done. So this is the relationship. Okay. Now if I go to the relationship, material. So where is that? here, which is a leading relationship, and another relationship is this one. This is routing with business unit. Okay, so this is the two thing which we discussed. And then in order to follow the flex mode, sorry, then the question is that when we are adding the custom entity type, again there will be a flex mode, reuse mode. So if it is flex mode, then what I need to do, uh, not much activity needed here, except like based on the business unit, you can probably generate the generate structure you can perform. Okay, but apart from that, you need not to do any other activity, just data model, and then these add it in the data model. And of course you have to activate the data model, you have to do the staging table level adjustment, all those things, which is a routine job that you have to do. But for flex mode, we don't need to do anything extra. But if it is a reuse mode, then what we have to do, then again we have to do the SMT mapping and all. So like wait a minute. So here, extended material with new entity type flex mode. So if I quickly go through it, same story again and again. Uh, might be here some different example. So here the example is like these are all different data model, domain, etc., etc. And this is how it should be. The relationship. I don't know how much it is visible. So this is relationship. This is cardinality, leading and qualifying, same way. Like they will also have type 4 and type 3, and then the same way the relationship will be. Only the field name is different. And then generate structure. So you can generate the structure, whatever you have. And then this is the generate structure. Okay, and this is, sorry, this is the this is not generate structure. This is a what it called, the physical table, the staging table, the staging table. Okay, this is a staging table. And how the values are coming, you have to wait. Okay, because we are just at the data model chapter. Down the line, when we will complete the UI, then we will start creating the data. Then you will see how the data is flowing through the staging table. So at this moment, I'm not talking about the data part. Okay. So here, so SMT mapping not required for flex entities. Since the flex option is used for the new entity type, record will stay. Okay. So generate data model specific structure. Since the data model was changed, you need to regenerate the table. Okay. So particularly for the type 4, you can use, and also for material also you can use the generate structure if there is any custom field added. Okay. So then this is how it looks. So this is your YE equip. YE equip. I'm quite sure this will be your type 4. Let's see what kind of entity type it is. Uh, the entity type shown in the below screenshot. Entity type, see here, Y equip type 4. correct? So that's what in our case, then it will be like business unit, which is a type 4. Okay, then move on. Generate structure. After the generate structure, then it's UI. UI. Okay, user interface. I'm not going to talk about at this moment. Okay, fine. So that means this is related to what? This is related to when add new entity type with the flex mode. Then similarly, extend data mode new entity type reuse mode. If it is a reuse mode, then what you need to do? Then go down. Then let's say you want to add some new entity type, which is a business partner details in the data model. Okay, in the data model. So then this is how the relationship model or data model. So this is the material entity type. Under the material entity type, obviously this is type 1. And then, so here this is the access class. And then here, so flex mode, use mode, go down. This directly came to UI. Okay, implementation part is here. Yeah. So these are all some custom transportation table has been developed where I can see basically the material number and the business partner ID. These two details are there. Okay. And then hmm, then this is one standard structure which appended. Wait a minute. Uh, I think this is the document. Yes, follow this document. This is the correct document. Extend ERP tables use option. Yeah. So here in the data model, plant data for material. This is a new entity type, and under the material, let me go quickly. Here we go. So in because this is a plant data, so in MARC table, which is a plant data for material, this these are all important fields, and with this, so basically this is the whole structure. So this is material, which is type 1, and this is another entity, the custom entity type, which is MARC1, which is type 4, and this is type 3 YT438A. This is type 3, and also along with that we have two more for type 3. And this entity type, which is type 4, it is having, these are all attributes. Okay, so now, so this is YMARC1, and which is type 4, which is having, these are all attributes. Then this is TYT438A, which is type 3. So like this, there will be two more type 3 entity type as per this requirement. So this is one of them, and this is another one. They are type 3. Now, what happens? Then we have to maintain the relationship. So in the relationship, we have respect to the material. So first one, the one which is type 4, that will have a leading relationship, and then type 3 and type 4 will have qualifying relationship. Same story, okay? Just the name is different. Then you activate the data model, then you go for the generate data model specific structure, okay? And then you save it in a proper package, and then generate data model specific structure. Here again type 4. Respect to the type 4, these are all structure has been appended. Okay. And then this is the one. And then you can see this structure is appended with these are all custom fields. Z badge, Z control, Z mark for deletion, etc. Then SMT mapping. So in SMT mapping, this is the uh, custom mapping based on the entity type which we have. Okay, because the in the previous case when we saw the mapping, that was related to like something, some custom field we have added under the material standard entity type, but here the entity type itself is a custom. So the we can create one custom, uh, create a new mapping name. Okay, create a new mapping name for 2pp and 2sta. Concept is same, just you need to create a new name for that, and then same way go to the transformation and add those custom fields. Okay, similarly go for the next one and add the next one as well. Then this is UI. Okay, so then you need to activate the data model and all. Okay, so this is something which is at the custom entity type. Then Genil model, again we also have seen Genil model example. So BP, under BP, uh, we have added Z info record and Z matla, these two entity types, where under the Z info record we added this attribute. Okay, and Z matner is itself an attribute also as an entity type. Okay. Now, Genil model. Now, first of all, when the Genil model will be necessary? Genil model will be necessary when you have, particularly for business partner, let's say custom entity type you have added and you are going for the flex mode. Okay, then you have to go for this Genil model. So for Genil model, we have like this Genil. What is the T code? That is Genil model editor, and there we created the enhancement Z info record. There, the same way like what we have done in business partner data model, like we have created the entity type, we created the relationship. Same way we created here the dependent object and the relationship. So here is the dependent object Z info record. So this is the dependent object which is associated with the generated structure of business partner, which is PP structure, which is having also the key structure. Key structure contained basically the business partner ID and material number, and these are all details. Then we created the under the root object, we created the relations, and this is the relations. And under the relation, we just add the dependent object z info record. Okay, so that include our key structure and the PP structure as well. Fine. So this is how we maintain the Genil model. So Genil model is only required for BP scenario, and it is just like a middleware. So this is a very brief detailing about what we discussed in the last session. Now today we are going to talk about the customer vendor integration, which is a kind of a last major topic in this particular chapter. Okay. So in the customer vendor integration, there are two different things which I'm going to talk about. So first thing is customer vendor integration. By name itself, it is very clear it is related to the business partner along with ERP customer and ERP vendor. It has nothing to do with material or finance. So let it be very clear. So now let me first go to NWBC. So NWBC is nothing but NetWeaver Business Client. Why NetWeaver Business Client necessary? Because this is one user interface launchpad which we'll be using in order to uh, create, change, mark for deletion, block, unblock, whatever I want. All sort of activity can be done through this. So this is a kind of an interface which allows all sort of activities. So this is the supplier governance uh, launchpad. So I go to the search supplier governance. So here we can basically manage the suppliers. So now I'm going to click here in the new. So I will have basically a three options where I can see organization. That means whether I want to create a supplier based on the organization data, or my supplier is a specific person or a group of people. So basically when one organization deal with another organization, or when one organization deal with all sort of business, that is always with the another organization. So I will go with the organization. Now let's say like which one you would like to. These are all different change request type. Don't worry, change request type is a next chapter topic, which is a process modeling topic. So I'm just selecting one of them, and then what I get. So the reason I come here directly in the execution part, because I want to show you what exactly uh, why it is necessary, the CVI. Because uh, obviously there is a reason, right, why we are doing all those configurations. So here this is the change request, and if I go to the supplier details, however it is written supplier details, but actually it is a business partner basic information where you have a business partner ID and the account group. Under the account group, you have a lot of different types of account group. Like for an example, external number assignment, internal number assignment, there will be vendor, plant, employee data, so many other things. Okay. So let's say I can select internal number assignment. So what is going to happen basically? So the moment I select this, 1 minute, huh? Let me select one different type. Let's select. So let's say internal number range. What is the meaning of internal and external number range? Internal number range means the moment we say that our business partner and vendor is an internal number range in MDG. That means whatever the vendor and business partner we will be creating, the number range will be taken automatically as we have defined the number range in the MDG instance. But when we say external number range, that means let's say MDG received the data from HANA system or MDG received the data from ECC system. So in that case, whatever the vendors we are receiving, the same number we need to maintain here in the system through the external number range. Okay. So that means our business partner ID and account group, they are highly integrated with the number ranges. So how this number range configure, how this account group configure in CVI, we are going to discuss the same thing. Okay. And then the following information, we have like address details, and then down the line we have roles. So we have different roles. So if I go here, so basically, if I talk about the supplier or vendor point of view, we have two things. One is the company code, another one is the purchase order. So if you see here, so this is for customer, FLCU00 for customer company code. FLCU01 is for customer sales org. Similarly, FLVN00 is for vendor company code, and FLVN01 is for vendor purchase order. Okay, so let's say if I select this one, so that means it is an indication that this vendor which I am going to create, that will have must have the company code. Similarly, I can add up the purchase order as well. So this is particularly number range, then account group, and the BP roles. These three things are very important. Then obviously you have other things are also equal important. I'm not saying that. There are address details, and then there are tax numbers, there are account details. Then you have the ERP vendor details, where actually you need to maintain the company code and purchase order. So these are all things we will come in a very detailed manner, okay, because still we are in a very early phase. Okay. So first thing is we need to see three things: number range, account group, and the BP roles. And that is part of this CVI process. So that is one part, and we have another part as well. Okay, now just go to the system. Then first thing we have to do, that is go to MDG IMG, and then let's say supplier, customer, anything you can take. So let's say supplier. Okay, first let me start with business partner. Business part, because in MDG, always for customer and supplier you will have a parent like a business partner. Without business partner in MDG you cannot have ERP vendor or ERP customer. Okay. So first is business partner. So click on this setup business partner. So here you can see first is business partner role. Okay, click here. So the moment you click here, so basically directly it will bring you to the SPRO configuration. So like if we know SPRO configuration point settings, this particular where it is, then it's okay. Otherwise we can go to MDG IMG and then go to the master data governance for business partner section, and then set up business partner, which will basically navigate on screen, and then we can click on BP roles. And here this is the BP roles. Here you can see these are all different BP roles you have. This is a standard rows. So based on your company requirement, you have to maintain those BP rows. So who will maintain this? Basically, the functional people will maintain this total details. Or rather, in your project, if there is a sales team or the buy team or rather SD, okay, so they will basically maintain these BP roles based on vendor, based on plant, based on employee details, uh, employee vendor, I mean. Okay, these are all. So, but the major two roles which we need to deal with for vendor, it is FLV FLVN00 for company vendor company code. Then FLVN01 is for vendor purchase org, and then FLCU00 for sales or company code, and then FLCU01 is for sales or for company code. This is company code for customer, and this is sales or for customer. Sorry. Okay. Then once the BP role is defined, then go to the number range. Number range for what? Number range for business partner. So the first thing which if I list out here, so the first thing is we are at the moment the business partner level, and in the business partner level, first we see the BP roles, then we see the number range, BP number range. Okay, because the moment you create in MDG vendor, you will have a respective business partner as well, or customer, you will have a respective business partner as well. So this is the number range. Okay, so let's say for an example, this is the first one is the number range for whatever the number range you want, that number range will be set. You can see the here it is external number range, tick mark. Remember, in MDG, the business partner and the vendor which we will be creating in MDG process or through MDG process. So always we will have business partner and vendor or business partner or customer, always internal number range. Okay. Yes, you can also maintain with a different range as a external number range if you have a certain scenario where, let's say, from ECC system or some other system where already you have some like historical data for vendor, those vendor data you want to dump here in this particular MDG instance, then you need another number range which is a external number range. Okay, but uh, as far as business partner along with ERP vendor or business partner along with ERP customer creation, change, mark for deletion, these are all activities are concerned, we have to maintain the internal number range at MDG level. Okay, so then once this is done, then define the groupings and assign the number ranges. So third thing is account group against number range. So point number C is business partner account group with BP number range. Still we haven't reached to the vendor or customer level. Still we are at the business partner level. Okay. So here, so again, account group, what kind of account group? Like we can have a vendor, we can have a plant, we can have an employee, we can have a internal range, external range, etc. See, this is one internal number assignment, which follow the number range 07. Let's see what is 07. Let me number range. GIOG business partner, set up business partner, number range 7. This is the one. So that means if I select the internal number range, sorry, internal number range account group, that means it will take this 07 number range. And at this moment, I can see this is the number which is presently using for business partner, right? And this is, of course, the internal number range, not external number range. So back. Okay. So similarly, you can see mm, supplier hierarchies, then treasury, so many things. It is purely depends on your organization structure. What kind of, normally, if you ask me how many account groups one project we have or one customer we have, respect to supplier or customer, maximum 4 or 5, not more than that, or maybe 6, 7, very, very max. Okay, not more than that. 4, 5 uh, is a normal case. I can say. Normally, one is for vendor master, one is for plant data, one is for employee data, and then here and there one, two different category. Okay. So this is the account group. Then rest of the things you need not to do anything. Just come out from there. Okay. Just go back. Okay. Only business partner role, number range, and account group. And that is to account group assigned with the number range. So these three done. Then directly you go to supplier case. In the supplier case, go to the integration with vendor master and then set up vendor master for master data governance for supplier. Here, number ranges for vendor account group. But before that, we should have the vendor account group. One moment. Supplier data, customer vendor. Create number range for vendor account group. Create number range vendor account group. Okay. So this is the vendor number ranges. So now coming to the second item, which is vendor master. Again, for vendor master, first is vendor number range. Okay, vendor number range. So these are all different number range. According to me, I think this will be the actual range. Let's see. Okay. So again, same story. We have internal and external, but again underline one important point that everything we will be creating in MDG level, the vendor master, that will be go through the internal number range. Yes, we can have the external number range if we want to send the historical vendor data to the respective MDG system, then we have to have the external range as well. Okay. Then next is assign number range to the vendor account group. Assign number range to the vendor account group. So these are all different vendor account groups. See, vendor, plant, then goods suppliers, then forwarding agents, then see, as I was telling, same name we have, employees. Okay. So these are all major, I can say. So let's say vendor. If it is a vendor, then XX number range. So what is the XX number range? Let's go back. This is the one. No, it won't be. So that means a different SN. I think this one. Vendors 01. Okay. So this is the correct number range, because this is, now you can ask me like why there are a lot of, this is a you have to understand, this is a IDS server and this is a kind of a demo system, and these are all standard entries, right? And many people use many different type of groups and its relative number ranges. So that's what, but in project you have only the specific number range for the specific account group. So next is, that means the item number B is the vendor account group, vendor account group with uh, mm, vendor number ranges. Okay. Then what next? Next is define partner roles. This is the business partner different role. This is not. So only these two topic here. That is number range for vendor and number range to the vendor account group. Okay. So come out from here. Then next is set up customer vendor integration for MDG for supplier. Click here. Next is, here you have to go, not all the functions. You have to go here, set BP role, sorry, define BP role for direction vendor to BP. This one. Okay. So this is nothing but the the combination between the account group and the BP role. See, as I was telling, so FLVN00, this is nothing but for company code. So for company code, this is the account group which is associated with. Okay. So here, the third item is vendor account group with vendor BP roles. Okay. See, in the category, we have basically defined FLV00, which is for company code, and FLVN01, which is for purchaser. Okay, so in the category we define here. Normally this is a standard one, so it will be there. You need not to define. So next is number assign define number assignment for direction BP to vendor and vendor to BP. Now go back to the NWBC screen. What you see here in this change ticket? You see here in this change ticket, first we have the supplier details where we have the business partner number. However, it is in the process. When the process will complete, we will have the permanent business partner ID. Okay, and then followed by the ERP vendor. That means first the business partner number will be generated and then the followed ERP vendor will be generated, right? So the direction will be here. Where is that? Define number assignment for direction BP to vendor. So always we will have the business partner and then we will have the vendor. Now the question is then when we will be using the vendor to BP. Now let's say normal ECC system which we have in normal not MDG, normal ECC. Normal ECC, if there is a vendor, then it is not necessary that that particular vendor should be associated with business partner. No, it's not like that. It is only in MDG where if you have the vendor or customer, you should have the business partner linked with it. Okay. So let's say from normal ECC, when certain vendor travel to MDG, which does not have any business partner number associated with, then what is going to happen? The moment it will enter into MDG, so the vendor number will be the external number, and by using the external number, it will come and sit here in MDG system. Then we will be needing one respective business partner for that, and that business partner will be the internal number range business partner that will be generated in MDG and linked with that particular vendor, which has been traveled from ECC to MDG. Okay, so for that purpose we will be using, but this is optional. Most of the project they don't use the second option. For most of the project they will be using the first option, which will be BP to vendor. Okay, so here you can see this is the account group for business partner and this is the account group for vendor, which they linked with each other. See, internal assignment is associate with the vendor, external assignment associate with the vendor. Then the correct account group, now what I was telling, the current account group is this one. uh, go back, go back, previous one, go back, go. This is the correct number range and account group 02, 02, 0202. This is the correct number range for this system at this moment, and this is an internal number range for vendor. Okay, clear? So now go back. Go to the direction. So this is the link. So the next point which I need to write here, that is the BP account group with vendor account group. Vendor account group. Okay. So this is the 4 points which we need to take care. So now business partner and vendor. Similarly, for customer scenario, business partner as usual will be there. Same way it will have a customer. Instead of vendor, you just replace customer. Now let me show you quickly for customer as well. Okay, for vendor BP also let me show you. So this is the vendor, this is the account group for vendor, and this is the account group for business partner. Now you can make it as a same number. That means the vendor which is traveling from ECC to MDG, let's say the number is 100. Okay, vendor number is 100, which is traveling from ECC to MDG, and I want the same number BP will be created in MDG as an internal number range, which is 100 only. Then I will put it as a same number, tick mark. Otherwise, not required. Okay. So anyway, this is optional, obviously. A very few project they use that. Now coming to the customer case. Same like a supplier. So business partner, anyhow, it will be remain as it is. Now go to for customer, it is import predefined. No, this is different here. Set up customer master for master data governance for customer. This is the one. Then number range for customer account. So this is the number range, and again this will be the number range, I guess. So first thing is, instead of vendor, it will be customer number range. Okay. Then what next? Again, this will be external, internal, same story. The next is assign number range to the customer account group. So like payer, bill to party, ship to party, good recipient, then distribution center. These are all account group for vendor and the respective number range. Okay, this is the one. So then next is vendor account group with, sorry, customer account group, customer account group with customer number range. Fine. Then next is okay, now not required anything from here. Go to the next one. Set up customer vendor integration for MDG for customer. Next is role category. In role category, you have FLCU00 for customer company code, FLCU01 for customer sales org. Then define BP roles. So this is the account group of vendor, and this is the account group of BP role. So this is the 001. Okay. So that means next is customer account group with BP roles. Customer BP roles. Customer BP roles. And then finally we have this role directions, that is account group of okay, this is done, sorry, this one. Now number range account group of BP to customer, the account group of customer. Okay, so this is the next one. So here we have whether it is the same number or different number. So here I can see internal number range for business partner is nothing but sold to party, which is linked here and which is obviously not the same number. So that is BP account group with customer account. Done. So this is the customer vendor integration we define. That is one part. Okay. Now the next part is, now let me go to, okay. So this is the document which is related to extend the data model with a new field, particularly which data model, the BP data model, and for reuse option. Okay, that means you have a BP data model in your place and where you want to extend the BP data model with some custom attribute. Then what exactly you need to do, and that is to reuse mode. Then as usual, same process like what we have seen here, the reuse process will follow. Only the structure name will be different. This is for material structure, but for business partner, there will be a different structure name. Now let's see. So here the, okay, now here. Okay. So the objective is that you want to extend the MDG data model for a business partner with the additional field called license or any field name. Okay. Any name you can take. This is just a custom field, and this is a part of the central data section. Mainly here, I can show you here, ZZ license. Okay. Mainly the address detail, whatever the information we have here. Okay. So now uh, add this field here in the central data, and these are all standard information like bank details, identification number, tax number, followed by the these are all company code, purchase org, general data for supplier. Now then what we need to do, so here it is showing you one end result, like it will be look like under the ERP vendor the field will be here, and this is the field value. Now let me tell you, in this case, when you are trying to add certain attribute for the business partner level, you have a three different scenarios. What are the three different scenarios? One is, one scenario is that particular field, that field, rather custom field, that custom field, you are going to add respect to the vendor, only ERP vendor, respective to only ERP vendor. That is one possibility. Another possibility is that same custom field you are only going to add with BP general data. Okay. And the another possibility is the custom field which will be in both place under the ERP vendor and the BP general data, both case. So three possibilities are there. Okay. Now in this case, I can see it is respect to the BP general data. Now let me see, let me fill this and okay, time out. Okay. So here, mm, let's say I'm taking now this change request type, and these are all things that are the different concept. I'm not going into that. It is exactly in the next chapter we will talk about that. So let's say I'm selecting internal number range for BP and then some random value. Country. So here I can see the license field is part of the business partner general data. Now move on. So let's say role. In this role, I'm adding, let's say both of the role. I'm adding, which is company code, and this is purchase order. Okay. Now go to ERP vendor. Under ERP vendor, no, I cannot see. So this is the ERP vendor general data section, which is control data. Okay. So here I cannot see that particular field. That means in our case, so far, whatever the scenario I can see, that is the second case. Okay. But there can be three possibilities, whether it is a part of ERP vendor or it is a part of BP general data or both of the places. Okay. Now here, just let me show you how we can add up the company code. So here we click and then let's say we add the company code. So basically based on different country wise, we have a company codes. Okay. And then this is the a kind of a GL account, and then planning group. I'm just randomly filling the data. So these are all, now you can ask me. So these are all data as standard data. So in any project, whether it will be a standard record, of course not. This is called a reference data. If you remember, in the first chapter we were talking about, like, we have a three type of data basically. One is master data, another one is transactional data, another one is the reference data, right? Another one is the reporting data. So reference data means company code, purchase order, company code related payment terms, payment method, the respective planning group. So these are all values are nothing but the reference data. So those reference data will be updated by the functional team, or rather the domain team, like the SD team or MM team will upload those informations. Then payment terms, payment method. Okay. So this is related to the company code. Similarly, see, it is required to create the purchase org. Then purchase org. Then purchase org here. Again, I'm selecting. So this is the order currency. I'm selecting just randomly one of the. Then payment terms. I will continue. Okay. And then I can add up the tax number, bank details, etc. etc. So these are all minimum information which I need to add up. Okay. So now go back to the here. So first in this screenshot, it is showing you basically in our case, you have seen that the data, the field has been added in the BP general data. And similarly here in the screenshot, it is added under the ERP vendor control data. That is the first case under the ERP vendor. Okay, so this is UI thing. Okay, so that's what I come here in order to explain on top of this document, because this document explanation will be more clear than just to discuss over the system, because we haven't reached to the UI part yet, but here we have to be have the UI part discussion little bit, because it is somehow associated with it. Okay, so this is the field which is a part of ERP vendor. Now the question is, the moment it is a part of ERP vendor, which table it will go? It will go to the LFA1 table. So in LFA1 table, that field will be there. Okay, fair enough. So three cases for use mode. Only it is in business partner level. Only it is in a vendor or customer level. So obviously means you want to add the field in vendor level, then it will be part of vendor. If you want to add the field in customer level, then it will be part of customer. Or it is a both BP along with the vendor master or customer master. Now let's start with the first scenario. If it is the first scenario, then we have to extend the data model, and we have to extend the table as well, our respective ECC table data model, then generate the data model specific structure. We need to perform the SMT mapping, but we don't need to do anything on the CVI mapping. Only this first four. Same way, the second scenario, only it is either vendor master or customer master level. Then we have to extend our ECC table, respective ECC table, like if it is a vendor, then LFA1 table, if it is a customer, then KNA1 table. Then respective MDG data model, then generate data model specific structure, and then SMT map. More or less same story for BP and the respective vendor master and customer master. But when it is both places, then one more step we have to do additionally, that is CVI mapping, along with the rest four step, obviously. Now the next is here. So BUT 000 is for business partner table. LFA1 is for customer table. KNA1 is for sorry, LFA1 is for vendor table. KNA1 is for customer table. Okay. So then Same story here. This is the steps. So let's say it is only at the BUT 000 means business partner general team. Then what is going to happen? Case one. Then you have to, this is the standard structures. CIEEWBUT 000. So those structures you need to extend with this new field, whatever the field name you want to give, you can give it. This is ultimately a character 20 field. Then you add this particular field in BUT 000, save it and activate it. Then add this particular structure X. X structure means business partner mapping structure. So this X structure also you need to add this particular field with the data element BAPI update. Okay. And then extend the data model. Then you go to the data model, BP, and then BP Central because it is, I'm only talking about business partner. So here in our case, it is also a business partner. So I can go to MDG IMG general settings, data model, edit data model, business partner. So it is BP underscore central. So this is the one. ZZ license. Okay. The under BP Central, you add this exit license, whatever you want. Then next, activate the data model and make sure that the adjustment and everything is there. And then this is the staging table. Okay, in the staging table, this is. Now remember, like earlier also, I think I have said this, that the staging table name, what you see here in the document, it is may not be necessary, it will be same. Now if I quickly see here what is the staging table for this, go to AC38 data model, BP, and then BP Central. See, ZZ license. Now see this staging table name and this staging table name is different. So staging table name is a dynamic table. It is not a static table. It will be vary instance by instance, system by system. Okay. Then next is generate data model specific structure. So in the generate data model specific structure, we will maintain BP central. So respect to the BP central, once you generate this, you will have the respective structures in the place. Okay. So BP central, however, who is using, request if anyone is using at this moment, please don't use, or if you want, choose the middle option, which is continue log on with the with without disturbing others, you know. Coordinator, are you there in the call? It seems this it is a server issue. Server is unable to open. It is unable to call the instance. Anyway, let me continue here. So this is the generate structure. Then you can see in the generate structure we have this field. Then as usual SMT mapping. Same story, you see, same story which is continuing. And then this is, okay, here is the one. The correct name is, it is BP underscore central underscore to API. Okay, so this is not BP, it's a BP. So again, this is from staging to the persistent phase, and this is persistent phase to the active area. Okay, so then go to the extended mapping, and here this is the first one to API, and then map it respectively the central data level transformation. Go to the transformation and then add up. Okay, then similarly next for the X flag, central data X flag, again same way transformation, and then go and add the field. Okay, so very straightforward item. Next is to STA, same way, same story, like you have to go to the respective mapping step, which is BP central, and then add it there. Okay, then adjust the staging area. Either better do not use this key. I think this is something which I already informed. Instead of that, you go to AC38, call the program USMD adjust staging, and then you adjust the staging table. Okay. And then test the scenario. So what is going to happening? So this will be part of your business partner details here, license. So this is one case, and also it will be available in BUT 000 table because you have added the respective field in the BUT 000. That is here this case. This is the case business partner general data. Okay. Now coming to the next case. Next case is only extend that particular field for vendor or customer. Okay. Then either LFA1 or KNA1, whatever the based on our requirement, we have to extend the table. So again, same story. First is extend the LFA1 table or KNA1 table, whatever. Then data model extension, then generate data model, then SMT mapping, etc. Here, go to edit data model, business partner, and BP underscore Vengeance. BP underscore Vengeance is the vendor general data. Okay. Similarly, for customer, the BP underscore CUSGEN, CUSGEN. BP CUSGEN is for customer general data. BP Vengeance is for business partner vendor ERP vendor general information. Then go to the attribute level and add this particular attribute. Okay, done, and activate it. Then as usual, go to the data model, adjust the staging or see the staging table, etc. Okay. Then generate the data model specific structure. Now which entity type I have to follow? BP Vengeance here. BP Vengeance. Okay. Then after the generation of that, we can access and we can see those PP structure or FP structure, those has been appended with this particular field. Then as usual, SMT mapping. So for SMT mapping, this is the mapping name. So this is the mapping name for this scenario. Supplier BP Vengeance to API, supplier BP Vengeance to STA. Okay, and then go to the mapping and same way just carry the mapping. I'm not discussing this because this is the same story, so I'm little bit skip this part and then test. Once you test, so now it will be part of ERP vendor. So whatever the data you maintained here, that will go to the LFA1 table. Okay, so that means this is the second case. Now coming to the third case, where we have the data in, let's say, ERP vendor or ERP customer, as well as the business partner general data. Yeah. Then both cases when we have. So then in that case, we have BUT 000 and LFA1 or KNA1 table. So the next is, so these are all different structures which we have. Those structures needs to be appended. Okay. So these are all mostly the standard structure for business partner central data, for supplier specific information, etc. Everywhere the same field we have to append it. Okay, so these are all some standard structure. Again, if you closely observe this, those structures are like a X flag. That means for SMT mapping. Then some are for supplier 2. That means for supplier data. We are adding some backend supplier tables. Okay, so these are all. Then go to LFA1 table, and already by this time you have added, or if you haven't, you can add in the LFA1 table. Then already we have the data in the LFA1 table. We have the data added in the BUT 000 table. We have added the things in data model. We have added the field in generate structure for BP and vendor as well. Now the only thing which is an additional step here, that is CVI custom mapper. What is that? CVI custom mapper is nothing but one enhancement spot which you can access through transaction AC18. So here AC18 CVI custom mapper display. So what is going to have this CVI custom mapper? So basically, like we have one implementation point under this enhancement spot. So this is the implementation point. Now under this, we have various things. What are those various things we have? We have like, this is the enhancement implementation. Either we can create directly, right click and create the implementation, that is one thing, or we can take a reference of the standard one. So let's say I'm taking this one. This is one enhancement, and under this enhancement we will have a several methods. So this is the class, and this class will have a several methods. Now, in these several methods, there are four items which is very important to observe. What are those four items? First is business partner to vendor. As I was telling, like normally in MDG, whatever we are creating, first the business partner gets created, then the respective ERP vendor. Similarly, first the business partner gets created, then ERP customer. So first is BP to vendor, similarly BP to customer, and vice versa. What is that vice versa? That is vendor to BP and customer to BP. Okay. So the way the just few minutes back, the another part which we were discussing here. So the way the vendor master, the roles and the account group was assigning, more or less same way, it was like BP to customer, BP to vendor, and customer to BP and vendor to BP. Now you can ask me whether we need the vice versa stuff, customer to BP, vendor to BP. Not every project. It is depends on the project, but very rare. It is only necessary when you have, like the example which I was telling, when one vendor is traveling from ECC to MDG, which does not have BP, but here you need the BP number to be generated. So in that case, you need that. Otherwise, it's BP to vendor or BP to customer. Okay. So next, the thing is what we identified the methods. Now, what exactly we need to write those methods? So one small logic we need to develop from like BP to vendor and vendor to BP if you want. Okay. So what exactly we are saying here? So our data is nothing but ZZ license. So this ZZ license, we are basically incorporate from business partner to the vendor data. That is what here it is saying. So in ABAP logic, those who are not familiar with the ABAP logic, so basically what happens, the ABAP logic travel from left to right. Okay, sorry, from right to left. Sorry, from right to left. So here you can see business partner, I partner central data, Z license field value, which will be traveled to the vendor central data Z license, and it's X. X means its relative mapping value as well. Similarly, business partner mapping value to the vendor mapping value for license field. So this piece of code we need to write exactly, double click here. This is the standard code. Either we can create the post exit, that is one thing, or we can create the implicit enhancement. So implicit enhancement means let the standard codes run, then at the end of the standard code, we can create our enhancements. So enhancement operations, show implicit enhancement, click on the dotted line, create, and this is the code. So first is enhancement implementation. So this is the enhancement for CVI. Composite enhancement implementation not required to maintain. Go to the local object, and here BP to vendor. So this logic you need to write. this one. Everything will be same, only change the field name. Whatever the field name you have, you just need to enter your field name. Yeah, and then save it and activate it. Okay, and that is, and when you test it, what you get? The same value you will get it in BUT 000 as well as in LFA1 table. Same value. You will have both of the places. Okay, so that is the, this is user interface part anyway. So this is the CVI. So the CVI having two part. One is this one, the one which we explained, and this part. So both of the things you have to keep in mind when you are designing CVI. Okay, so this is the CVI. So any questions so far? At least whatever we discussed, the CVI and the other things.
Hello, Adit. Ashit this side.
Yes, please go ahead.
Adit, my question is the related to reuse mode and flex mode. First of all, I'm just asking for the you are all the demonstration in the CC system, and as per my understanding, all the ECC system MDG version 7, and we are using as per the demo class all the performance, all the demo practice session is 9.2. So because reuse mode so many steps, if we need to start in the 9.2 S4 HANA system or 7 version, because most of client using 8 or 9, not 7.
Whatever the steps I have talked about, the same steps will be carried in 9.0, 9.2, etc. If there will be any additional steps that we need to see, but I don't think so there will be much difference. Most of the steps, whatever we spoken, it will be remain as it is. Okay.
So how to identify, suppose that if we are using for any implementation for client 9.2 and in SAP just change any steps and add any steps. So where we can find for the proper steps, because your steps
So the
maybe we,
yeah, yeah, please continue.
so because your steps is almost similar for 7, maybe 8 or 9, but in future maybe next 3 months or coming of new versions MDG. So if any specific website we need to check or we need to directly contact SAP.
No, I think let me tell you, this is the fundamental steps. Fundamental steps does not change frequently. Okay, that is point number one. Whether you are standing on 7 or 8 or 9 or 9.2, those steps won't change. Those are quite static steps. Okay, but still I want to add on, if there is any add-on steps that you need to check, probably if you have OSS access, OSS site for SAP support, there you can check if there is any additional releases available, any document. So you can refer those document, or you can connect with SAP. Okay, now categorically answer your question. Like let's say, as I am saying that my steps are pretty much as it is. However, I'm using the system 7.2, but the same thing I can do from the next class in 9.2 as well. Then what you will say? This is not relevant to 7.2, 7.0, or 8.0. So it is the basic steps, and this is the fundamental steps. So those steps are remain same across the version. But now categorically answer your question. Let's say how I will come to know if any additional steps I have for specific to any version. Because see, any training you do, any discussion you join, nobody can tell you that, okay, this is the steps we have to do for this version or this. They will talk about the basic steps. Then tomorrow, for a specific version, if some additional steps needed for a specific purpose, then that we have to, or you have to, indigenously see those things. So how you will get it? So basically you first follow the fundamental steps, whatever the steps we discuss. Then you see what kind of result you are getting. If the result is not expected, what you are receiving, or something which additionally you need it, which you are not receiving, then you need to reach out to SAP. Okay, that is the proper way to deal with any kind of project. Or you look for any that version specific document.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Anil.
normally what happens?
Yeah.
Hold
And
on, hold on 1 second, please. Let me finish. First thing is, if something is not expecting, not getting which is expecting, then we have to raise the OSS incident to SAP. Like this is the steps which we have done. So do you have any version specific additional steps which we are missing out? Then they will accordingly answer. Or you can look for some version specific document. But at the same time, you have to see whether that particular step is really necessary for you, or probably you are missing some existing step, some mistake you are making. So it's not like that every time. That's what I'm underline this point. These are all fundamental steps. Fundamental steps does not change frequently. Okay. Yes, please continue your next question or something you're saying.
so, next question, Adit, related to SNRO's number range. Suppose that for new implementation MDG, and we are already using S4HANA or ECC production system, and we are creating material directly in production. Okay, so suppose there is a material number range is 100, and that's and parallelly we are implementing MDG production system. So in during this time we need to migrate number range as well in MDG system, and we need to stop SNRO all the material creation process in the production system ECC or S4HANA.
Basically, tell me one thing before I answer this question, whether your S4 HANA system, which you are saying, which is operational system, and at this moment you are creating your product there, means your material there, and the MDG system, which you are saying, whether it is on top of this S4 HANA or it is a indigenous SAP hub box, MDG hub box.
MDG hub box.
MDG hub box. Okay. So now let me reframe your question. So basically, you have a present scenario where you have the S4 HANA in place, where already you are making some product, and now you are going to move your process to MDG, that is through the separate MDG hub box, and that is to probably on top of S4 HANA or something, or on premises or on cloud, whatever it is, right? This is the scenario. Now the question is, like, whatever the product you have already created in S4 HANA, how you are going to deal with in the MDG system, whether you need to move this all the number ranges, or how you need to do that. Now, let me answer this. This is a matter of a point of discussion based on the different clients. So, different client will take a different approach. Let me give you some approaches. Let's say case one. Case one can be that they will say that, look, MDG, we want a completely new number range. We don't want any number range which was existing in S4 system. Okay, and the material which already created in S4 HANA, those we will move it as an external number range to MDG system. And what we will do in material process in MDG, we will have something called old material number field. So what we will do in MDG, if we want the existing material to be updated, so we will be updating that particular material as an old material number and will create a fresh material number in MDG and will tag that old material number as an old material item. And then those material basic information, classification, plant details will remain as it is what you have in the old material number. And some additional details, if I want to add, I can add. That is one approach, case one. Case two is, let's keep the same number range, more or less same, let's say, uh, and then move the data from S4 to MDG. Okay, not number range move. Number range, you, let's say your number range is, for an example, your number range in S4 HANA is 100 to 500. And in MDG, you maintain the number range is 100 to 1000. Okay, then you move all the material which you have created from S4 to the MDG box, and then that will be a, obviously the external range. It will be accepted as an external range, and then you can also create the internal number, which will be your new material. So now in your MDG box, you have the product which historical product which came from S4 system, and you can create a new product in your MDG system. So both of the things are possible. And also the old material which traveled from S4 to MDG, if you want to update them, that also you can update. So that is another approach. Okay. So this way there are a different type of approaches you can take, but it is purely depends on your business, how they going to take the approach, or which approach will be comfortable for their business. Okay.
Okay, Adit. And only last question is related to business partner. Suppose that we are implementing business partner. So during this time in business switch framework, we need to parallelly implement means customer supplier both, because business partner related to vendor or customer as well.
No, this question answer I've given when I was discussing this data model. So let me answer again. So
Okay, okay.
basically, the business partner data model, here having the ERP customer and ERP vendor within itself. But it does not mean that you have to start the implementation together. Like the business partner you are dealing means, okay, you have to start vendor and customer all together. No, it's not like that. Because in business partner is the data model where you have the entity called business partner central data, business partner role, business partner ID. These are all business partner generic or general information. Apart from that, you have something called BP vendor general, BP customer general. These are all vendor general and customer general information. So you can use, so let's say first your phase is supplier phase. So in that case, only you deal with the BP vendor general details along with the business partner details. So you need not to touch any details which is related to customer. Okay. And the way I just, that's what I categorically mentioned this. So if you are working with supplier, if particularly the CVI comes, Can you please mute yourself? Okay. If particularly CVI comes into the picture, then only you need to focus on the business partner and its relevant vendor. Similarly, if it is a customer, then here the business partner and customer master. So it is not at all like that that you have a BP and that means you have to start. No, this the phase can be like supplier first, then material, then finance, then at last customer. It is all depends on your customer's business, how their business required those modules one by one. Okay.
Hey, hey, Aditya, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please tell
Okay.
me.
Do you? I do have a question. Are you going to continue with this class now, or you want this? This is. I have a question that is
No,
not
I
yet
have
finished.
I have just one small topic to talk about related to the finance, and then I
Okay.
will wrap up the session for today.
Okay. During the wrap up, I will ask you a question. I don't want to. I
No
don't want.
problem. No problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem. Okay. So,
Hey Aditya,
yeah, please tell me.
yeah, I have one question. If my customer need this one BP concept, that means if my customer will be acting as vendor also, in that case, what will be the solution?
If your customer is your vendor, as
Customer will be acting as a vendor, both.
yes, correct.
In that,
So then,
yeah,
yes.
go
So
ahead.
that is what the CVI is all about. If your customer is acting as a vendor, then only we need to do this particular setup for business partner, vendor, similarly business partner, customer. Because what happens if you see business partner having the relation with customer and vendor? Okay, so there can be a possibility, let's say for an example, that I buy some product from Amazon, so I'm a customer, right? And I don't like that product, or that product having some difficulties, so I return back that particular product. So then for Amazon, I'm the vendor. Okay, so in that case, like the particular person or the particular the vendor can be also the customer. So in this case, we have to follow this same CVI concept, what we just talking about. And one more thing we have to do, that is in the ERP, where is that? Let me go to NWBC. Let's say you are in supplier, okay? Then go to search supplier, go to the supplier creation. Okay, now let me some random details here. And now let's say give a role, go to ERP vendor, and here what you need to do, you need to maintain one the customer field under the ERP vendor general data, that is control data. Okay, so you need to bring, because customer number is your standard field, so you need to bring your customer field here in this ERP vendor control data. So what is going to happen? So when you are creating one particular vendor, and if that particular vendor is going to be going to have some return supplier situation in scenarios, then the respective customer number you need to enter here. So for that, you need to also maintain all these settings for customer, the respective number ranges, the account group, and then it will have a respective customer number. So the vendor and customer will be linked with each other.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So any other question? Okay. So I have one more thing to talk about, that is same story for finance. So extended data model by new field for finance data. Okay. Now one thing we know that in finance, most of the activity which we will be doing, that is through the flex situation, flex scenarios. Okay. Now here, see, MDG offers domain-specific solution, financial governance, and the data model is OG. So we have basically MDG, IMG, OG and OF. OF is only for the chart of account. So we are not going to use the OF. Instead, we will be using OG. Okay. So it covers the entity type, like we have a GL account, cost center, company. So for accounting related GL account and company, controlling related cost center, cost element and profit center, and consolidation related consolidation unit and item. Okay. Now the scenario. Scenario says in SAP ECC systems, cost center can be used for joint venture accounting. So joint venture is nothing but one particular field here. So joint venture accounting has been added to SAP ECC before ECC 6.0. Starting with ECC 6.0, it is a built-in feature that needs to be activation via business function, and it adds some field to the SAP ECC cost center master data. What are those fields? Joint venture, recovery indicator, equity type, joint venture object type, and the JIB or JIBE class and subclasses. So these are all around say 5-6 fields we have that needs to be added in MDG. So the field cannot be predefined by SAP within MDG F data model, that are valid only if both MDG F and joint venture accounting business functions are active. So the system assumes that you have activated the joint venture accounting in your system. Now you want to add the field in MDG F2. Okay. So then again you need to deal with data model, UI validation, replication. Now we will be only focusing on uh, data model part. So now it is an explanation like what will be the data model for joint venture, what will be the data model for other field like recovery indicator, blah, blah, blah. So these are all details anyhow, you'll be collecting those details, okay, before you start anything. So now, first thing, joint venture, this is the technical name, V name, and this is the data element, and this is the domain character 6. And this is the check table. So check table uses the company code as a foreign key. Similarly, for recovery indicator, equity type, and rest of the things, we have the technical field name, data element, and some check table. May not necessarily all the fields will have check table, but most of them having, and the purpose is given. Next, when you add this, so how you add this field, okay? So that is the next thing. So this is the data model OG. Add the field as attribute. Okay. Where? Question is where? Under CCTR, cost center. So under cost center, which are those fields I have to add? Add field joint venture as a simple attribute to the cost center entity type in MDG data model. Okay. So we add it. This is the attribute data element, etc., etc. Okay. Then add so next is add field using entity types, and that is to type 3 and relations. Which one? Entity type with type 3 are usable for complex fields. These fields have a check table that consists of the multiple key field using the foreign keys. The actual key depend on others, which might have to be added as entity type with type 3. Okay, so add fields, joint venture, recovery indicator, entity type, and this JIB classes as entity types with type 3 and use the relation as mentioned below. So now it is clearly given. So this is ZV name. This is the entity type name for joint venture, which is having the storage type which is not changeable via MDG no generated table, that means type 3. Data element hierarchy, these are all okay. Description, and this is one. Second, repeat the same thing for type 3 for recovery indicator, equity type, GIB class, GIB subclass. Okay, so repeat that. Now relationship. So how you build the relationship here? So you have added the new field as entity types with type 3. Now define the foreign key relations. So here is the foreign key relations. So first of all, like how the foreign key, if I define the foreign key, how the foreign key will define. So if I give a very quick, simple example, let's say this is serial number, spot, position, and here name, spot, and specification. So let's say here Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. C. Spot is run. Specification, let's say 400, 100, and again 200. Okay, and now serial number 1, 2, and 3, and spot is run, run, run. Position is second, fourth, first. Okay, so now this is table 1 and this is table 2. Now what is the connection between these two tables? That is the spot. So this is the field which connect these two tables. And if you see that this table 1 having the serial number, spot, and position, where the table 2 having the name of the candidate and the specification as well. Okay, so if we join these two tables, we basically get the information about the data, the actual record. So this is something this particular key which we use as a sport, that is nothing but a foreign key relations. So when we join these two cases, it is a foreign key relations. Okay. So similarly here you can see, so this is the relations, and now this is the existing relation, by the way, because you can see most of the details which is reflecting here, that is referencing and leading. Now here, from entity company code defines the entity type for the foreign key field and just a name, and the two entity is this one. What is that? Joint venture, joint venture. And it is a leading relationship because company code is a leading entity type. Because in finance, most of the entity types, if you see, most of the entity type, if I go here, company code, company code, okay, though it is a type 3, but here the relation which it is making, which is type 1, because type 3, okay, here, because the ZV name, this entity type is also a type 3, and company code is also a type 3. That's what it is, a leading relationship. Okay, but apart from that, particularly if you see company, which is type 1, another one is like account, account GL account, this one account, which is also type 1. Then coming to CCTR, cost center, which is also type 1. Then cost center group, which is also type 1. Then profit center, type 1. Then profit center group, type 1. Most of them are type 1 here. Okay, so why? The foreign key leads the relation to your new field, and the cardinality is 1 is to n. And repeat the same way from company code to recovery company code to equity type company code to JIB class and subclass. Okay, the relations same way. Then next, Next relation is the joint venture from entity to the cost center, and this is a referencing relationship, and the cardinality is 0 is to n. That means it's a optional relations. It is a optional to enter the value for the new field, and same way it will continue for rest of the item. Then activate the data model and generate data model specific structure. Okay, so which one you have to take for the generate data model specific structure? Cost center. Cost center you have to take. Okay. And then the result enhancement data model complete. Okay. Then UI part start. That is a separate story altogether. So this particular case, probably you can, if you have some time, you can practice it. Okay. The same way we have to do this, but it's a flex. It does not have mapping. It does not have adding the field in the respective table. No, it's not a reuse mode. It's a flex because in finance, most of the cases are flex. Okay. So let me unshare. So here we talked about in this data model, that is develop the custom data model which we developed with airline processing. Next is enhancement related to BP and finance, and that is too we have seen very in a detailed manner, that is add the custom field in BP or finance. Similarly, add the custom entity type with those BP finance, and CVI mapping and the Genil model. Okay, so far this is the information related to the data model, and that is more than sufficient. Okay, so these are all basic steps. So that's what I repeat, and I underline this point again and again. It does not matter which version you are working. However, next class onwards, I will try to be spend more demonstration or S4. This is how we do, but it's okay. But it does not mean that any means those steps will not be applicable, or there will be a huge difference between these steps and the new version specific. Yes, there will be probably one or two add-on or something, but that is also we have to see why it is there, and the chances are also pretty less. But if it is there, then we have to see accordingly. But these